Hello, I'm Monty Betham, and you're watching Once a Warrior, the home edition. I'm joined now by one of the absolute greats of the club, known as the Huntly Hurricane, Lance Hohaia. How are you, my man?
Good, thanks, Mons. Good to see you, mate.
Mate, everyone wants to know where are you and what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So moved here after the UK back in 2015, July 2015, and coaching rugby union actually. So it's been fun. It's been a bit of a steep learning curve from obviously rugby league to rugby union, and it's been a while since I played. So yeah, coaching, and obviously I'm a dad to two healthy, rambunctious boys. So they keep me busy, and yeah, enjoying life. We're heading into summer here, so looking forward to that.
Joey, one of the funny things about sports is nicknames. We mentioned one at the start, which is the Huntly Hurricane. I've got a nickname for you. I called you Joey because I remember early on there were similarities between you and Andrew Johns, and that was it. As soon as I heard that Joey, your name was Joey, and it seemed to stick for a little while. But there was a few others as the years progressed. I'd love to sort of know how it came about. First of all, Huntly Hurricane.
Jason Costigan, I think, gave me that one. He's obviously when I first started, he was calling a lot of our games, and he's a pretty fun character, and he just came up with that one day. I think it was maybe one of my second, or I think it was my second or third game, and yeah, just kind of stuck. The Huntley Hurricane. He threw that out there one day, and then everyone sort of latched onto that. So Jason Costigan, he was the one that came up with that one. Lani was probably the one that I'm most known for within the team. Obviously with the boys. Joey was one that you've always called me, and yeah, I guess those are the main ones that I can remember.
Well, I think the one that is most accurate is the Huntly Hurricane. So let's go look back now at some of the devastation you caused.
To Hohaia, goes through, shot score, will score, brilliant play. He is a superstar in the making. To Hohaia, still going, Lance Hohaia, he'll go all the way. Hohaia, the super sub, and he's got there. Still going Hohaia, Hohaia bats the line. Hohaia's away, straight through. Hohaia, still going, the Huntly Hurricane. The Huntly Hurricane has just blown them away. Oh, Hohaia with some light stepping, fall back to beat, backyard football, chip over the top. Hohaia! It is Hohaia! You couldn't script it better.
Joey, when you see that, how do you feel watching that back?
Yeah, it's always nice, bro. It's always obviously reminiscing, and thinking back, and sort of watching that now, having been retired for a few years. It's yeah, it feels good. Wish I had the same hairline as I did back then, but no, it's nice, mate. I wish I show my kids, and hey, this was Daddy when he used to play, and it's nice to be able to do that, and show them now that obviously they're old enough to sort of realize and recognize that he used to play rugby league and rugby for, we call it rugby over here, rugby for a living. So yeah, it's nice, it's fun.
Joey, what's your earliest memories of the Warriors? Because I want to talk to you about mine with you. The first moment I saw you came across, we were in a drill situation. I think you just came up from Hamilton for the afternoon. And I was like, he's mine, a very good defensive player. He's mine, he's mine. Boom, left foot step. You beat me on the inside, and Ando laughed out loud. I mean, what's your first memories? Because you sure made an impression on me, man. I think I was the youngest captain at the time.
Yeah, I think it was. I do remember that actually, that moment, and I was scared to do it because Ando was like, "Hey," he sort of came up and whispered in my ear, and he said, "I want you to look, and throw that left foot step, and I want you to beat Monty with a left foot." And I was like, "Oh gosh, here we go." And I wasn't really keen on doing it. Obviously, I had a lot of respect for you, and I was a young guy, and but I do. I remember, I felt good, and I appreciated the way that you responded to that as well. You sort of it gave me a bit of stick, and obviously I know that you gave me a lot of confidence, and you supported me, knowing that hey, that's what we do here at training. We push each other, and we stretch our skills, and so yeah, I think I was young at the time. I was maybe 18, training with the team, but I do remember loving that, loving those times, and really enjoyed Auckland, obviously the big city, and Was a small country town boy, and to be, to be up in the big smoke and training with you guys it was time of my life.
What you would have enjoyed, even though you didn't get the results, Joe, is being the only ever Warrior to play in both the 2002 Grand Final in your debut year and the 2011 Grand Final, which is the last game you played in the colours. When I mentioned 2002 and 2011, what are the instant memories that come back from you when I say you've played in both Grand Finals?
To be fair, the 2002 Grand Final, obviously that was a very special occasion because it was the first time that we'd obviously made it that far as a club, as a team. So I remember the ride, obviously, throughout that year. I still remember it to this day, walking through that tunnel out into that stadium and just the sea of people. I can still picture that right now. So that was pretty special. That was pretty amazing to be able to do that. Stacey's try, that was a special moment, and that'll be a special moment for years and years to come. So, to be out on the field and to watch that and to be a part of that feeling, I think that, in terms of, my performance, I don't think I played poorly, but I was just, I was young, and obviously we had a pretty red hot team, a lot of experienced guys. It was a big game. And I think it probably, the game sort of went by pretty quickly without really having too much of an influence personally. So I wouldn't say that's a regret, but I look back and think that, I wish that I was able to contribute a bit more. Whereas 2011, I would say, I certainly probably don't remember as much as the journey to get there because I was just focused on the job at hand. But I certainly remember, a lot more of the game, especially with it, being my last game. That was, it was a special time, a little bit emotional, obviously, knowing it was going to be my last game. I was playing with a bit of an injury, and I was comfortable, with my performance there. And we just, Manly were unstoppable that year. They were a tough team to beat. But we also had a pretty, strenuous lead up to that. We had some tough games. We're on the road for 4 weeks. We're back to Sydney every week for 4 weeks. We had some pretty taxing, semi-finals games, and obviously those are not excuses. But I think, we just probably didn't quite have enough in the tank that day, and obviously Manly, were riding pretty high. No one gave up, and all the boys were trying and giving it their best, right up until the final hooter, and and then at that point I was able to sort of, really, I guess let the emotion, run over me, and it was, had a hug with my parents and had a bit of a cry, and it was a special moment. I'm really proud of obviously both teams and both performances, and lucky to have experienced both those things.
I'll put you on the spot. I want to know, out of those two teams, who would be your best starting 13? Okay, so this is the team that you selected, Joe. What I want to know is, where did you find the hard points? Where did you struggle?
Know all those guys really well. So, I think the centres was tough. The halves, obviously, I had to leave SJ, Sean Johnson, SJ 2.0. I had to leave him out of the team. I went with James Maloney and Stacey in the halves. The back rowers, Simon, Lucky, Campion, Ali. So I went with Ali and Simon in the back row. Tough to leave Campo out because I know, he had a lot to do with, sort of just being a good support system for me when I was young. But I opted for Lucky because I went at 13 because I played a lot with Lucky, and, just the stuff that I saw him do on the field and his toughness. I think, defensively, that was the type of 13 that I wanted to go with for that team. The front row was Sammy Lapida, went with Sammy and Jerry Susu in the front row. Two, big, tough, uncompromising forwards. Our mate PJ Marsh at the hooker, went with PJ at hooker. I think that year he was phenomenal. He was one of the main reasons why we were, playing that up tempo. I think he was, sort of changed the game a little bit around the dummy half when he was, the speed and just the deception and his defence as well. He was a complete player at that point in time. And obviously, Stacey at 7, he was, sort of picked himself. I'll Stace. Went with James Maloney in the halves. Jimmy's a winner. I think it was hard to leave, Sean out, but I know Mutu did a great job too at 6 in the 02 Grand Final. But I mean, Jimmy's played some phenomenal footy over the years, and had to put him in there. Went with Ivan at fullback. I think I probably would have gone with Brent Webb had he made the one of those starting teams. Webby's a good mate of mine, and he's a fantastic player. So went with Ivan over Kevin Locke for the number 1 jersey. And wingers, I went with my big mate Manu out on the wing, and Francis Melly. So Francis and Manu were the wingers. I thought that would be, imagine those two playing together. And I went with Johnny Carlo and Clinton Tupi in the centres. So I think that'd be a pretty tough team to beat.
I mean, Clinton Tupi, no one would argue with that, but not many people would know about John Carlo. A big man, uncompromising player in the centres, somewhat of a journeyman when he came over, but he was a key part of that 2002 team. Talk to me a little bit more about Johnny Carlo.
Yeah, pretty unassuming guy, a little bit uncanny in the way that he played, but he just seemed to, be in the right place at the right time. He was super professional, got the job done. He was a big guy, could do it all. He was fit, fast, he finished well. Defensively, I think he was really solid. And yeah, I just went with him because of, his experience and his professionalism and his defense, and obviously on the other side of the field, we got the opposite and Clinton Tupi, and a little bit of flair and, unpredictability and just that raw power that he brought to the game. I think when he was playing in that 2002, 2003, those 2 seasons, he was almost unstoppable. And it was great to play alongside him during that 2002, 2003 era.
Joey, I love putting you on the spot. I'm going to do it again. Where does Lance Hohaia play in this team? Because you've got to be in the team. It's your team.
I'd probably have to replace my old coach Ivan and put myself at fullback based on everyone else in that position. If I'm thinking about team dynamics and where everyone fits into that, and obviously if we're comparing me at the end of my career to Ivan at the end of his career, as opposed to me as a youngster, I would say I'd probably put myself at fullback and think I could do a pretty good job there.
Okay, so it comes down to the coach right now. You picked Ivan Cleary over Daniel Anderson. What got him the nod?
Probably just the longevity of my relationship with Ivan, I guess, and he was a real smart, innovative coach, and obviously one of the big reasons why we did so well over the years that I was there, especially. Ando, great coach as well, very very technical. Very. I think Ivan just had a little bit more of a knack for getting the very best out of the guys and understanding sort of the style that we wanted to play. He probably added a little more structure than Ando would have. I think Ando let us kind of, the shackles were off at one point, and we played, pretty expansive footy. But I think, Ivan had the mix quite right in terms of, structure and flair. So, went with Ivan as the coach for the team.
The influence of those 2 coaches on your coaching career now, I mean, what have you taken from each of them, and a bit of what they do and what you do?
I think they had their systems, they had their structure, but they also gave you the freedom to go out there and express yourself. And if you got it wrong, they certainly let you know. Obviously, like, hey, I don't know about that one. I think that was the wrong choice, or maybe put that one in the back pocket and save that for another day, or keep practicing until you've obviously got that. That skill a little more down pat. So I would say, Daniel in the very beginning, obviously, believed in me, and he gave me the confidence in myself, and he saw a lot of talent within me, and pushed me to really hone my craft and stretch my skills at training, and continually work on whether it's catch and pass, kicking, ball placement. So he was one that sort of fine-tuned my game in the early years, I would say. And then Ivan, obviously, his attention to detail, discipline to those details. That's where he was very methodical in his approach to the game. But he also understood that you've got to add that X factor and the flair, and you've got to trust your instincts, and you've got to play what you see in front of you as well. So I appreciated the contrasting styles. Both very scary when they're angry, and Daniel in particular, I think you could sympathize with me on that one. And I think you've got to add a bit of that element too to your coaching. You've got to be a little bit scary. With my job, some of the guys are a little bit afraid to approach me, but they go to the assistant coaches, and I think that's that sort of is the same in any team. The assistant coaches are a little bit more approachable. So yeah, I try and incorporate those types of attributes into my coaching. Obviously, add my mix to it as well.
Joe, what was your best position, man?
I think during my Warriors career, I think I probably played my best at fullback. But I also say hooker would be maybe a close second. I mean, I loved obviously the freedom of fullback, but I liked being amongst the action. I liked running, scooting around the dummy half. I really liked it when the game was, when we had obviously, the momentum and the defensive workload is as much as it's pretty high at hooker. I did enjoy the contact as well. So I think I enjoyed hooker the most when I look back. Obviously, I grew up as a half. I played six most of my life before I got to the Warriors, but I didn't probably play as much in that position as I would have liked. I would have liked to have played a little bit more at six, but I think I played my best footy at fullback. But I certainly enjoyed all of the positions I played.
Sometimes you think you wish you weren't so versatile, because not only were you versatile, bro, you were a weapon in pretty much every position you played.
Yeah, I think it was a blessing and a curse, obviously, and there were times when I was really really frustrated with that predicament, I guess you could call it, and there were other times where I embraced it, and that sort of ebbed and flowed a little bit depending on coaches would change, and their opinion of my best position would change. The team needs would change each week depending on who we're playing and injuries. So it was a little hard to wrap my head around it initially. 2007, I really made a decision to focus and embrace that, or make a decision to pick a position and move on and go to another club. So obviously, I chose to stay and embrace it, and the rest is history.
And you mentioned 2007, 2008 when you had to wrestle with a decision. Was that the defining moment in your career, you feel?
I think so, yeah. So I obviously, 2002, great year. 2003, did relatively well. Probably didn't do as well as I did the year before. Had a serious knee injury. 2004 didn't do so well with the whole team, and as a club we didn't do so well that year. 2005 through 2007 was really where I was sort of in and out of the team, and I was struggling with the utility tag, and the coaches were sort of figuring out where I'm best suited to the team. It really wasn't until 2007 where I was frustrated with myself. I was frustrated with my situation, and obviously I made the decision to really knuckle down, and I was changed my diet. I cut back on drinking, and my lifestyle changed drastically because I needed to. I just wanted to do everything that I can for myself to get myself in a good position physically, emotionally. And I was, 2008 preseason was the best shape that I've ever been in my life. It was the best, the happiest that I've been. Luckily enough, I got some opportunities to play. Obviously, I was training really well, and the coaches noticed that. And, they could tell that I'd had a bit of an increase in the intensity and in terms of what I was doing. And, obviously the lifestyle changes. The coaches recognized that stuff, and people talk, and we played fantastic that year. And it wasn't just me, like I said, it was a collective thing as a group. We all bought into that. Let's make this year a special year. That was the year we did the beards, and the timing of it was good for me, obviously, and the team, and our performances showed for sure. So that was, I would say, my most enjoyable year, and in Warriors colours. And that 2008 through 2011, played my best footy. So it certainly paid off, and the club appreciated that, and my teammates saw that and supported me. And
you normally get a whole week to decide, okay, this is my roles in this position, to do this, to execute for the team. Now, you're sitting there on the bench on the day of the game, and you're not too sure where you're going to go on. And that will change at the drop of a player in terms of injury. So how do you work with the mindset going to the match, not knowing where you're going to play, how you're going to play, and who you're going to play for?
Yeah, I think it's that's part of the unpredictability of being a utility. And if you embrace it, then it certainly becomes easier to accept. The good thing was I had some coaches, as an Ivan, John Ackland when he was there, Kevin Campion and guys would say, like, mate, just get out and play your game. It doesn't matter what number is on your back. If you go on a hooker, play the way that you want to play a hooker. And they trusted me, and they appreciated what I brought to the table, whether it was at fullback, whether it was at 6, whether I was at centre, or at hooker. So that was nice. They didn't say, hey, I need you to play 9 this week, or maybe 6, or maybe 1, and I need you to play this way, that way, and that way. They gave me the freedom to go out there and play however I wanted to play, and take opportunities if they were there. And so that made it a little bit easier, obviously. But yeah, you're right. It's not easy where, you're waiting for that call, like, Lani, you're on, and you're playing, and you're not sure until you get the call what position it is. I obviously trained in all of those positions. So I knew the systems, I knew the plays, and I just used to just slot in wherever I needed to. So, because I was around for so long, obviously it was, it was pretty easy to do that.
But in terms of who shaped you through that great career, who would they be?
Lots of people. Yourself, obviously. When I first turned up, and you took me under your wing, and I appreciated that. Obviously, you taught me about discipline and toughness, and professionalism, and we appreciated the leadership that you showed, obviously, as a young captain. Guys like Stacey, Logan, guys that I'm still close with and friends with now. They were guys that I looked up to. The Mad Butcher, got to give my mate Mad Butcher a plug. He was always, always there supporting, and he's just a great friend. When things weren't going well, he was always calling me. How you doing, mate? If we didn't play so well, or I didn't play so well, he was always checking in. My parents, all of my family. Obviously, I've got a large family, so my siblings were always at every game if they could be there. My parents were at every game.
How do you think you're defined? Because, obviously at parts it did affect you, but being a utility that has expertise to play extremely well in all those positions is probably something you overlook. How do you think your Warriors career is defined?
I think it's defined the way that we've been talking about. I think I'll be one of the better utilities that we've had come through the club, and I'm good with that tag. I think that I'm a warrior first and foremost, and the position you play is something that you're defined by. But I also think that you're remembered for what you do on the field, not necessarily the position you play. So I think that I'm really proud of the stuff that I was able to achieve at the club, and I think that most of the teams that are picked that I've seen over the years, I'm always picked in a utility role, and I think I'm proud of that, because I really focused on being the very best utility that we've had at the club, and that was something that I feel I was able to achieve. Certainly at the back end of my career, that was something that I was pretty proud of.
Joey, thank you so much for your time, man. One of the true greats who have contributed so well to this jersey at the club.
Thank you, Monty. Appreciate you having me on your show. It's been great to reminisce.
Next week, I'll be back in the studio with another little guy that did so much for this club, in Thomas Luluai. Join me then, same place, same time, on Once a Warrior.
Back it comes with Hohaia. Without a ticket, he's gone straight through the turnstiles and scored. Still going, the Huntly Hurricane. Oh, he goes close. He plants the football. To Ravelli. Short ball, Hohaia throws the dummy through, Sando scores. Hohaia beats one, beats two, and he launches the counter-attack. Here come the Warriors. They're away. Lands Hohaia. This is a wonderful Warriors try. Will bring it around to Hohaia. Still going.